Welcome to our podcast, Inspiring Living with me, Mark Candelaria. I'm an architect, blogger, traveler, chef, father, and husband. I'm the founder and now a partner of a fabulous 25-person architecture firm specializing in high-end residential architecture, designing amazing homes across the country. We have hosted tours to Italy, Spain, and now Napa over the last 20 years, and in the course of all this, I have met a lot of interesting people who truly inspire me. Our podcast is about all the opportunities that are right there in front of us to inspire living. Yes, we will talk about architecture and design, but every week we will venture into all sorts of topics that will inspire you, teach you, and motivate you to inspire living every day. My guests will include a wide gamut of amazing people, from those in the design industry to clients to real estate professionals, chefs, artists, sports figures, and philanthropists, and people who just flat out get it. Sit back and enjoy, and let's have some fun exploring all of the opportunities that are there just waiting for us. Please subscribe and get ready to be inspired every week. Okay, as my dad says, here we go. Okay, so we're moving on now. We're actually here in Highpoint at the market. I just stopped into my good friend Marco at Alitalia. We're in a showroom, and Tish Mills, the interior designer out of Atlanta, Georgia. We've been trying to connect for about 5 years. We've met on social media.
Yep, we are dear friends on social media.
And I've got her right here sitting next to me finally. We finally met just 5 minutes ago. I feel like we've known each other forever.
Right, it's like we're cousins.
We're cousins, yeah. And so I've got her here, and she came in. She's going to give us a little rundown on what she's up to in Atlanta, Georgia. You have a fantastic interior design firm, Tish Mills Interiors, and we've admired your work from afar. It's published all over the place, and you're absolutely so talented, and it's just a real privilege to sit here and talk to you.
Thank you. I feel the same about you guys. Your work is just beautiful.
Yeah. Well, someday, hopefully, we'll collaborate on something.
We definitely need to collaborate on something. We work all over, and you do too, so it's bound to happen.
Yeah, I would love that. So tell us about the market. How often do you come?
I typically come once a year instead of twice a year.
Yeah.
Just because we have so many projects going and we do so much construction,
right,
that we kind of stay closer to actually working.
Right, absolutely. And we try to hit some of the other markets. Like this spring, we went to the market in Milan, Italy, which was fantastic. I'd never done that before, and that was quite a treat. But this is always a fun market to come to for some reason.
It is. People are a little more casual in Highpoint, and it's just fun, and it's a lot of camaraderie and friends that have either known each other or getting to know each other.
Absolutely.
We hit different markets as well. I go to Paris every January and really love that because in my world, that's the introduction of all the fabrics, wallpapers, furniture, a lot of things for the entire year. So you get to see what's coming.
Yeah.
But I want to hit, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I do want to hit Milan. We had planned on going this time, but we had a big install. So next time we're going to hit Milan.
We liked it. I didn't know what to expect, but it exceeded my expectations. It was a lot of fun.
I've heard that the entire city, since it's so design driven, that it really saturates every part of the city.
It does. There's little villages or little neighborhoods you go into, and they have whole design expositions going on in those neighborhoods.
Yeah, I really just love the idea of that.
Yeah, it's neat. And Milan's a fun city to walk around in, and it's very easy.
Yeah, it's manageable.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your business there in Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, it's really hopping in Atlanta. We are known for doing projects pretty much soup to nuts. From the moment that architect, builder, and interiors, a lot of times landscape architects at the same time, all selected, were there from the beginning. We work very closely with a number of architects in Atlanta, do a tremendous amount of ground up or renovation work. Probably about 85-90% of our business starts with either a renovation or a ground up. We work really all over the country.
Yeah.
We do projects of all sizes, but we're known for really large houses. So a lot of times people will call and say, "Oh, I'd like to work with you, but I think my project's too small." We
get exactly the same thing.
Right.
And 3/4, be it be known, 3/4 of our work are small projects.
I love a smaller house as well. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
I did a project earlier this year that was 1,500 square feet in a high-rise. I mean, what a blast.
That's fun.
It is such a juxtaposition to, the houses that are 30,000 square feet.
Yeah. Well,
But-
I know we both like to cook, so
Oh, yes, we do.
I always compare architecture and projects to cooking. I mean, there's the meal for 500, and then there's a meal for just 2.
It's so true. I had
Right?
never thought about that. Yeah. And it's the same level of intimate experience where you're really putting your heart and soul
Right.
into something that you're channeling for another person.
Right. So you're doing work all over the country, you just said.
We do.
What are some of the projects you're doing right now?
We have something at the moment in Austin, Texas.
That's a hop-in market.
Oh, I'm loving that project. It's really, really fun, and it's a repeat client. It's really been great. We're doing something in Palmetto Bluff.
Nice.
I grew up in Hilton Head. I'm from California.
Okay. All right.
But my dad is one of the 4 people who developed Hilton Head. So it's kind of
Interesting.
fun to
Wow.
go home to work.
Yeah, that's very neat.
Yeah, it's been a very, very, very interesting project because their sensibility in design is much more, and it's a ground up, much more towards Atlanta than the Low Country.
Right.
So it's been really fun to meld the two.
Right.
We have something in Sedona, which is kind of
Tell me about that.
yeah, which is an older project that's popped back up, which has been a whole lot of fun.
Good.
We have something on the coast of North Carolina. You know, it's just
Yeah. Don't you love the diversity, though, that you get to work in different styles and different, climates and
I love it.
cultures, in essence? I mean,
Yes.
the culture from Sedona to Hilton Head, South Carolina is totally different.
It is completely different. And one of the things that you would understand because you work all over is people don't understand that you really need to be there.
Right.
Because the way that light reflects and plays and acts in different parts of the country is going to affect the design. It's going to affect the architecture for you.
Yeah.
You've really got to delve into where you are. See, I'm Italian. I'm using my hands.
Yeah, I get it. I love it.
You've really got to dive into the area where you are to truly bring that space to life.
Right. So I didn't know you were Italian, but how appropriate I brought you to Alitalia to do your interview.
I know, and where's the
and I got a
lasagna?
Prosecco for you, right?
I know, life is very good. We are going to be very fast friends in real life, not just social media.
Absolutely. We'll have to get you on our Italy trip one of these days.
That would be great.
Yeah. So in talking about energy, I think energy has a real aspect to everything that we do. I mean, like you're working in Sedona, there's definitely a different vibe there. But don't you draw upon the energy of your clients and the vibe of your clients?
Absolutely. I was on a panel earlier today, and they were asking about what's my look?
Right.
And I just think that's such an interesting question because the hope is that you don't have a look.
That's what I always say. I don't have a look.
Mm-hmm. Our job is to channel the person we're working for and bring a part of their soul forward in a way that they can't get there by themselves.
Right.
We get to be a great shepherd of their energy.
Yep.
And where they want to go.
Right. Yeah,
So,
that's exactly it.
Yeah, and the only thing that's common within my work is that there's a feeling and a peacefulness.
Right.
I may do something very contemporary, like thinking of show houses. Something really contemporary, something very traditional, something, in between. But pretty much at some point during the show, someone's going to walk in and say, oh, Tish did this.
Yeah.
I can feel it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's very similar. I get a lot of clients will call and they'll say, we've looked at a bunch of houses and we really like the feel of this house. And I go, oh, I did that house. Oh, hey, we didn't know that. And then they'll bring in another picture and I'll go, yeah, I did that house too.
Right.
Well, we didn't know that. We just like the feel of these houses. They're all different.
It's true.
Yeah.
But there's a part, a lot of homeowners don't realize until when they haven't worked with people like us, right? Until they have, that you truly bring a part of your soul to it as a designer, as an architect.
God, yeah.
And it's so deep rooted in what you do. Of course they can feel you.
Yeah. No, I agree. So tell me about your firm. It's you and tell me about your team.
Yep. I have 4.5 people. Just enough for me.
Yeah. Perfect.
We are able to handle a lot of business with that amount of people. I've thought about, scaling them. Like, why? The amount of business we can do, and I touch everything, is perfect.
Yeah.
It's not. Great. It hasn't wheeled out of control to where I'm managing people and not designing.
Yeah. Yeah. I've gotten to that point where I've gotten so big where that is all you feel like you're doing is just babysitting all day and just putting out brush fires. And part of that I found, though, is the people that you get. Because we're up to 25 people, and that's probably our sweet spot right now.
Oh, good for you.
But I've got 3 partners that are amazing. So if you do that, divide the 25 by 3, that's it's 8.
That's great.
Each. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what manageable. My husband is in a large firm. He is the head of interiors at a 100-person firm that does both interiors and architecture.
Yeah.
And what he comes home we talk. I mean, he manages clearly a lot of people.
Yeah.
And he still has to find time to design
Right.
and do the interior architecture and really detail things out and deal with clients. And I'm like, how?
Oh, well, let me ask you this question, because you bring up a good point there. Is I tend to, be in meetings all day or working with my team or out at job sites. When do you find the time to sit down either, I don't know, on your table or on your CAD or whatever you do? When do you do that?
I tease that I am a spurt worker, so it could happen at any moment.
Yeah.
Like always early in the morning.
Yeah.
Is when I'm very creative early in the morning.
That's me too. That's my time.
Yeah, and I love, or at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because the meat of the day, to your point, is meetings. It's hitting job sites. It's dealing with whatever that
Sure.
day brought that you had not planned for.
Right.
So a lot of times, if it's not the morning, about 5:30,
Yeah.
I sit down and I'm like, okay, time to lay this house out.
Well, that's good.
I mean, it's
can't do it
just-
at 5:30. I'm kind of spent by that point of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good at 4:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'll just get up early and I'll work from 4 to 8 with virtually no interruptions.
Right.
And in 4 hours, I can get 8 hours of work done.
Sure you
because I'm
can.
just cranking.
Yeah, it's about the no interruptions.
Yeah.
My husband leaves at 7 every day to go to work, and depending upon, we have children.
Yep.
If my youngest is home and needs to be up and out, to high school, if that needs, you understand that as
Oh,
well.
I know that real well. I got
So-
2 high school kids right now.
Yes, and I believe we both, side note, are volleyball parents.
Yeah, I'm a volleyball parent.
But anyway, depending upon what's happening there, if it's just the two of us and he's out the door at 7, I will hit it and have some quiet time.
Yeah.
And I might not make it to the office until 9:30.
Yeah, that's me too.
But the number of things that I've gotten done and the builders that I've spoken with and the architects and the,
Oh, yeah.
the building related things, because they all start early.
Sure.
So then I can deal with client meetings.
Super productive
and,
time.
Yeah, it's a great time.
Yeah.
Either early or late is my most productive
So
design
how
time.
did you get into the interior design business?
Well, as I said, my father is a well-known developer.
Right.
He's one of the 4 people that did Hilton Head.
Yeah,
So
wow.
I've been on, and before that, as a West Coast person, he did Incline Village at Lake Tahoe.
Oh, okay. Been there.
So, yeah. So I've been on construction sites since I could walk.
Yeah.
And really even beforehand.
Right.
So interiors
You grew up around it.
Yeah, it's been in my blood.
Yeah.
I love the building side of the business.
It's always different. That's what
Oh
I
my
love.
gosh,
We were
I
talking
love
about that
it.
with Anne-Marie earlier, and it's like no 2 days are ever the same.
Exactly. And even just, at whatever, 6:30 in the morning when I'm scrolling through Instagram to see what's happening in Instagram world,
Yep.
a picture will pop up of something in framing, and I can feel a flutter inside me when I see something framed.
Right.
Just watching something come to life out of the ground.
that's
So it was always what I was meant to do,
Sure.
is design.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So, your team, tell me a little bit about your team. How do you run your office?
Well, I have a bookkeeper who I'm tease is actually the person who's in charge, because he certainly wrangles me.
Yeah.
I consider him part of my family.
That's my Evelyn. She's
Yeah.
a partner now.
Oh,
because
okay.
Of how much value I place on that position.
Yes, I love him. I love David. A few years ago, much like what you all have gone through, I was out for
Yeah.
a very similar illness.
Yeah.
And before I left, I was like, David, I'll be here when I can.
Yep.
But just keep it all going. And he sure did.
Same as Isabel's team.
Between David and the design staff, it was
Yeah.
it just happened. And I'm forever grateful.
Well, your staff is a family. in
They are
essence.
my family.
Yeah.
2 of them were here today, and they just left. And I was like, what am I going to do? I don't leave
Right.
till tomorrow. But it's
and I
just
see that a lot in the design industry with architects and interior designers, that I think a lot of times the egos get kind of out of control, and people don't realize it takes a team to do these jobs. You can't do it all by
Absolutely.
yourself.
Yes. So I have a design assistant who does such a good job. I mean, she has learned so much
Yeah.
over the last 3 years. I'm so proud of her. And she's starting to do more and more design. She has definitely done it on the interior side, but
Sure.
she's doing it more on the finishes side.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to watch.
It's fun to watch your team blossom and grow
Yes.
and learn, isn't it? As
Oh
a
my
mentor.
gosh, I love to mentor people.
Yeah.
And then I have a more seasoned designer who is has worked for people with a different aesthetic than mine.
Right.
And she's been around for almost a year, and it's been very interesting to watch her learn more of the aesthetic that we're known for, and the
Right.
level of design that we're known for,
Right.
and the level of finishes. And, there's a lot of things in the beginning she would show me, and I'm like, well, that's lovely, but this is, a little more in the area that we work.
Right.
And so I've been able to introduce her to a lot of the really high-end brands, and it's been great.
Yeah.
And then I have someone that helps with marketing. I have someone that draws.
Yeah.
So
the marketing side is pretty important, don't you think?
Oh, it's very important.
Yeah, I think a lot of designers and architects forget that part. I mean, they just don't put the big value on it.
Right. And the best time to market is when you have business and don't have time for it.
That's exactly right. I say that all
It's
the
the
time.
law of attraction.
Yeah.
And we are very, very committed to that.
Yeah.
Most of our projects, much like you, are long-term projects
Sure.
because they're so large. So, you're with people 2-3 years.
Yeah.
But that's great. But then you got to know who are the next people you're going to be with for 2 or
Right.
3 years.
Right.
And then who are the next.
And doesn't the time go by fast?
It really does. And my least favorite day is the day I bring the last accessory. 'Cause
Yeah,
how
it's
is it done? Because, we talk every day.
I know, it is
Or,
hard.
most days.
Yeah.
And you know what's going on with the family, and you know what
Yeah.
trips
You
they're
become
planning.
part of their life and vice versa.
Yeah, and then it's fun to come back in later.
Sure.
Just check in.
Yeah.
We stay in contact. We have it much, I'm sure, like you. We have a lot of repeat business.
Yeah. Well, I think what's neat about interior designers, having experienced this through my wife, is you're involved right at the very beginning for most projects, and you're involved all the way at the very end. Whereas architects, we're kind of involved in the beginning, but then we kind of fade out as the project gets done. We're not there when you're putting the pillows and the accessories in.
Right.
But you are. And so one thing that we've tried to do is just stay connected, and that's why we do our cooking meal at the end of the job when we get the whole team together. And it's been just a great way to kind of keep that relationship going.
Yeah,
so.
I might have to, borrow that, but I'll give you give you full credit.
Well, that's fine.
We usually bring dinner for the very first night in a house.
Yeah.
Because who wants to deal with it
Oh,
the
I
night
know,
you
that's
move
nice.
in?
See, that's a nice touch.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's just because you grow to love people, so
Right.
you just want to take that little bit of pressure off of them
Sure.
the day they get there.
Yep. So you've had your challenges in life, right?
Yes.
And it's not always easy, is it?
No, and anyone who tells you they haven't is not someone telling the truth.
Right. That's what I always say. It's not that easy for anybody.
Right.
Yeah. So I know, Isabel and I have had our struggles with her health, and I've had my own issues that are podcasts in and of themselves that we'll get into. But what I've kind of learned is you're going to have problems. There's going to be problems ahead of you, and there's problems behind you, and you've got to learn how to persevere, right? I think a lot of it is just not quitting and just finding a way to get through it.
Absolutely.
Right?
And knowing that you will get through it.
You will get through
It's
it.
just, what does the path look like?
Right.
And I
Have
always
faith.
Right. I always say I'm a spiritual being first, and then a person walking around second.
Right.
So when these things, let's take this for example. When the world blew up in 2008, I was
Yep.
going through a divorce.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I'm telling you, we are
Me too.
definitely cousins.
I mean, all hell broke loose.
Right, didn't it?
Oh,
and,
totally.
And so, being an Italian woman, I had really never lived on my own, and here I am with 3 children. Right. Okay. So enough said there. Right.
Yeah.
And so I had turned off the news because you can't handle the news while you're going, how am I going to do this? And
I don't
have
watch
a business
the
to
news
run.
anymore,
I
no.
don't either. That's when I stopped. Well, I don't watch the news. If there's something really big in the world and someone has told me, or
Yeah.
secondly, not to go down this route, if it's coming up on an election, then I'll
Yeah.
tune in.
You want to be informed, but
But yes, I am. I do want to be a good citizen. But during that period, because I'm so spiritually based, I had the very conscious thought of, I'm not going to participate.
right.
And so people would talk about how freaked out they were during the recession, and I would just say, I'm not participating. And on our business side, we just rocked right on through.
Yeah.
And then just because I stayed very centered and kept my spiritual practice, my meditation practice, all of that very
Sure,
forefront in
that's
my
great.
life, then, I found the path. Was it hard? Absolutely. Were
Yeah.
there days I didn't want to do it? Absolutely.
Right.
But just like you,
Yeah.
you find your way through.
Well, and then I think it gives you reassurance in your subconscious that, hey, I got it through that. I can get through a lot. I can get through just about anything. I mean, it gives you a lot of strength.
Right. A friend told me a long time ago, which has always stuck with me because it was such a visual moment. When it's time to walk the coals, kick off your shoes and get walking. Just don't stop.
Yeah, just keep going.
Just
yeah, 'cause that's a good one. I love that because I tell people, a lot of people get in the shit and then they stay there. It's
Yeah.
like, well, you're never going to get out of it.
Well, who wants to be there?
Yeah, keep walking. I like the coals better.
Yeah. It is a visual because you can see the end, and
Yeah.
there's definitely an end.
Yep.
Just move there.
Yep.
And
Yep.
know that it's one thing. I feel sure you've taught your children the same thing. I instill it in my children constantly. Especially having teenagers.
Right.
I tell them
It's tough, isn't it?
Teenage angst is called that for a reason.
It's not easy. Well, now, see, I'm lucky. I've got one that's 31. Mm-hmm. So I've seen that. Just like the coals is a good analogy. It's like, you know what? Just keep preaching, keep telling them, keep teaching. It's not going to stick at age 17, but by age 31, it may take hold.
Right, and just keep loving.
Yeah,
At this
keep loving.
point, I jokingly, when my husband, since he's in the business as well, when he proposed, I jokingly did # designer Brady Bunch, which
Yeah, same thing.
It took off. So we have now 25, 24, 22, 21, 17.
Wow.
And you're exactly right. Looking at and our children have known each other. I've known his children. He's known my children much longer than we've known each other, which is just how the universe worked it out.
Yep.
But watching the times that they've gone through and where they come to now, anything any of them are going through,
Right.
we just know keep loving them,
Yep.
keep reminding them, you can do it.
Yep.
And we're here. We're just here.
We're just here. Yep. That's our job sometimes, isn't it?
And isn't that your job at work too, right?
It's going to segue right where I was going to go. Sometimes you have a project that's like that.
Oh,
you just,
yeah.
You just learn that you just got to keep going.
You do.
And my mentor was really good at that. He just taught me that you just keep going and you finish strong.
You do.
You know?
Oh my gosh. I have a client who's an executive for a very large company, and I probably shouldn't say which one because they're very private.
Yep.
But when we just finished a 4-year project because the house was so large, it just took it went well regardless.
Yeah.
Some of the people like me, anything they need.
Right.
You know what? You need one more piece of car art framed for your car garage.
Yep.
Absolutely, be right by to pick it up.
Right.
There are other people that on the project that might not have acted the same way. And so he said one day when I was to his wife, which quickly got to me, about a member of the team, they're a launch and leave.
Huh.
Launch the project out. It's a
Yep.
business term.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to keep that one.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
then his other one was fast starter. You know, you come out of the gate strong.
Yep.
And then peter out.
Yep.
You don't do so well at the end.
No.
And so while they were both kind of humorous, especially coming, because I love this client, we're super close, coming from her.
Right.
She was like, listen to these business terms I learned. I was like, oh my gosh, I've never heard. We have used those, and now it's just a mantra around
Yeah.
the house.
Becomes your culture.
Yeah, don't be a launch and leave.
Yep.
We're going to get that over the goal line.
That's pretty much what it's all about. I
Yeah.
think that's the key to success a lot of times, is just keep going.
Yeah, it is. And the other thing that is key to success is you never know where it's actually going to come from.
No.
One of my biggest projects actually came from just running by and helping with a paint consultation on
Yeah.
a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
I was like, fine, you know what? I got all the time. I'll help you.
Yeah. No, that's what I've learned that too. It's like everyone says, oh, God, why are you doing that? It's such a waste of time. I said, you never know where it can lead. And I've learned that just planting little seeds all over the place, they germinate, and they turn into a lot of good things.
Right. And the other thing is, what if you just helped someone and you had no expectation of
Right.
anything in return?
Right.
That's fine too.
Yeah.
And
I think that's the best. to be
yeah,
honest
and
with you.
sometimes those seeds, you don't even realize you're dropping seeds.
Right.
And then they bloom and it just comes
They're amazing.
it comes from such an authentic place.
Yeah.
I love that.
absolutely. So what's the biggest project you've ever done?
Square footage
Yeah,
wise?
square footage wise.
Well, at the same time, we had 230,000, 2 20s, maybe 3 20,000s, and then well into the teens.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. I'm sure they're paneled walls and lots of details.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, one of the 30s has a ton of interior architecture, but very little trim. It's all,
It's
know,
more
like
clean.
very clean.
Wow.
I cannot wait until that comes out.
That's cool.
It's being scouted by someone really fantastic, and
Good.
we're putting energy behind it every day.
Good.
But then the flip side is another one of them: panel, trim on trim,
Yeah.
wood everywhere.
Where do
all
you see the
kinds
trend
of,
going?
Well, that's a great question. In Atlanta, it's still fairly split. Like,
Yeah.
we're doing a lot more. We've done transitional work for a long time
Yep.
because, a lot of people are like, transitional, let's
Yep.
do a little of,
A little bit of both.
which I'm totally fine with.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, I love it.
But we're doing more and more contemporary work.
Yeah.
But then the other thing I'm seeing is much more traditional work coming back. Like, look at the showroom and the woodwork in
Yeah.
here and
Yeah,
the
we're seeing
tables and
that
such.
too.
Yeah, so it's, for me, it's kind of, are you seeing that it's split? It's less middle and more one or the other?
We're seeing a lot of, I would think you would almost call it transitional, but we're seeing people, like all of a sudden I've got a lot of people who want to do rural Mediterranean again, but they want it cleaner and a little more contemporary, but they don't want it contemporary. They want the nice materials, they want the stone, but they don't want it all tchotchked up. And
Oh my gosh, I have one of those in Atlanta right now.
Yeah. So it's
Exactly.
neat.
And it's the first contemporary I've done in a while. I
Yeah.
mean, contemporary. It's the first Mediterranean that I've
Yeah.
done in a while.
So we're doing what I call Mediterranean.
Oh my gosh, can I borrow that?
Yeah.
I'll give you credit.
We're seeing a lot of that. So I want the European influence, but I want a little contemporary flavor, but I don't want contemporary.
Right. I'm
You know?
seeing that. I'm seeing very contemporary. And then I'm loving to see brown furniture come back.
Interesting.
More antiques are starting to pop back up.
Yeah.
The
we were just
color
talking about
brown
that.
is coming back.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not
I
all
think there's going to be
gray.
a real resurgence of artisanship.
I hope so.
Because there's such a shortage of it that I think it's going to become a very highly valuable commodity, and only the affluent can probably hire that stuff because that's all that. Who's going to make some of this stuff someday?
I hope that is true. Not that there's less people to make it.
Right.
But we're seeing more of that come back, and I hope that it sticks.
Yeah.
Because
It's so beautiful.
it is.
Yeah.
And the detailing.
And the love and the soul that goes into that work.
Exactly. Yes, totally
Yeah.
agree with you.
All right, so what else you got coming up? What things you got coming up the rest of the year? Not much of the year left.
I know.
What about
It's-
2020 in the next decade?
Not to have a blonde moment, but somebody the other day said something about, how are you going to finish the decade? And I was like, what do you mean?
I know, isn't that
It's
weird?
just finished the year. And I was like, oh my gosh, it is definitely 2020
Yeah.
next year. And it
The
is
20s, the roaring 20s are coming.
right. And that first number does change. I mean,
Yeah.
it just had never really changed.
I know.
It
I
had
think
never
it's sneaking
dawned
up
on me.
all of us pretty fast.
Yeah, I think, and part of it, I think, is because the millennium was such a big
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah, the Y2K thing. And all
Yeah,
that.
and but the rest of the year, we've got a ton of mid-construction. We've done all of our big installs for this year, which is kind of great to roll into
Wow.
the holidays. We're doing the Holiday House in Atlanta,
That's cool.
which is going to be a really fun project. I typically will not do a bath or a kitchen in a show house because I'm not going to come in and just put
Right.
a rug and window treatments. But this one we've gotten to really work on the finishes, work with
Nice.
the people behind it.
Yeah,
So, and it's very different for Atlanta, so I'm super
great.
excited about it.
that's great.
And then we're starting a couple we've got some great projects going right now, but we're starting a couple really good ones. One that's going to be very contemporary, I'm excited about.
Neat.
We're finishing a project for somebody that is the president of one of the big carpet companies.
Oh, good.
And they're European, they have very contemporary taste. Their artwork is on a boat coming from
Nice.
Europe. I cannot wait to bring that
Wow.
layer in.
That's neat.
And then one of the projects has been very dear to us that we finished, I guess, earlier this year. We just got the word of what magazine that's going to be published
Good.
nationally next year, which I'm excited about because it's one of the ones we haven't been in yet. And
Yeah.
it's one that
Excellent.
it's a reach one for me. I mean, every one you haven't been in is a reach one,
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
And this is one that I'm super excited
Good for
about.
you. That's
And then one of the really big boys is going to scout one of our projects that we just finished. That just the thought that they're scouting it,
Yeah, that's all.
Right.
Yeah, that's
So,
good.
how about you guys?
I love your energy. Oh, we got a lot of great things going. We're doing projects in 15 states right now, and we've got one going here in Greensboro, North Carolina, which I'm
Nice.
real excited about. I'd love to do one in Atlanta. I came close to getting one in Atlanta sometime. So I love the architecture down there.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
When y'all come for market, you should reach out.
We will. We'll be
and
there.
you and I,
We'll be there
tried.
again. We tried last January. We'll probably get out there again. We're doing a big one in Nashville, so that's kind of fun.
Nashville is a city that's on my hit list to start to work in.
Yeah.
It has a great energy, and there's so much going.
Right.
That I am starting to really look at Nashville as a market and what is that going to mean for us.
And I think, as I look at things now, I think the level of work that's being done around the country has improved dramatically the last 20 years. Don't you think?
Oh, for sure.
Like big time.
I think part of that is because there's so much available, and homeowners are so much more educated than
They're
when
exposed
we
to so
started.
much more.
Exactly. That's what I mean. I meant that as a very nice way.
Yep.
You said it way more gracefully than I did, but they are exposed and they see so much, and the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, it is endless.
And people are willing to take more chances.
Yeah, I always tell people, I always use the metaphor of the 8 notes on the piano. How many million songs are there from 8 notes on the piano, right?
That's perfect.
And it's the same thing with us. We got a lot more notes to play with, though. That's what's so great.
We do. It's endless possibilities.
Pretty much endless.
And it's great that, the vendors,
Right.
if you can think it, you can find somebody to create it.
Right.
And I do love that.
Yeah. Well, I love your passion. I love your energy, which is highly infectious here, sitting here. It's like, oh, my God, I want to work with you so bad now.
I want to work with you, too.
So
Let's
it's so
do it.
Cool. I know you've got a lot going on here at Market. You're flying out tomorrow, I think.
Yes.
So-
I head back to Atlanta tomorrow. Actually, I have an install that's happening without me tomorrow, so I get to swing in hopefully by the end of the day and see it.
Oh, you're a busy lady. So I'm not going to keep you much longer. I really appreciate you coming in today. This was awesome. We kind of improvised here in Alitalia. You might have heard some kids playing in the background and things, but it's like Italy, right?
I love it.
I love it.
And it's so great to actually get to finally sit down with you.
Yeah, I love it. It's
Yeah.
so fun. Well,
Cool.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Okay, great job there by Tish Mills. Fabulous interior designer out of Atlanta, Georgia. Check out her website. It was so fun to finally meet her. So stay tuned. We got some more coming from Highpoint, North Carolina, a couple more podcasts, and we'll just upload them as we finish them. We head back to Phoenix tomorrow, and so we've been having a great time. And so check it out, enjoy, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed our podcast. We encourage you to write a review, screenshot it, and share it with your friends. Please instant message it to me and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We thank you for listening, and we look forward to sharing more insights to inspiring living next week.